Gerard Gahn was still, waiting with bated breath. All eyes turned to the warden adjunct, waiting for his commands. Koshani and Tavrish and Durnt alike felt that the lingering anticipation that one does before some great change, and it was never more certain than that moment right before that things would never be the way they were. From the records of Shea Paran. Your head lolls for a second. The weight of weariness, the monotony of the procession, and then a tap on the shoulder, a soft clearing of a throat to your side. Attentiveness returns again in the dusty air of the chamber. All around you, men sit, converse, discuss, plan, and plot. And here you are amidst it all, a member of that procession, a tool of the diplomacy that now resumes. Your father looks at the table, his eyes searching. He peers for a moment in your direction and then turns back to Odar, who is attentively discussing issues of state.
2 more men.
2 more men dead. 1 dying. Your father nods. See them dealt with in the way you find appropriate, Commander. As for my own, I will make sure that the situation is quelled conversation, the discussion at hand, is over a brawl that occurred this morning. The Dover squad met with two Roshi men making their way out of the west docks. The following squabble resulted in one dying, the other one now deceased, and two Tavish men with wounds that will take them away from their stations. You can feel the Rama behind you leaning forward, whispering, "Things are getting out of hand."
I'll cock my head slightly in his direction as to whisper to him as well. That they are, though I know little that we can do about it.
The Rama nods and looks back to the Warden Adjunct. Now all decisions are placed on his shoulders. He must lead the way, but I have faith in him. From across the table, Talib clears his throat. Magnanimously, he stands for a second to address the Warden.
Dearest Warden, I have come with a grievance. It has been not but one day since the new Arcalian church has been erected. One day since the doors opened to the faithful. Already it has been defiled. Crude runes painted across its doors. Words of treachery.
The Warden barely gives Talib an eye. He turns to look at you. How would you advise in dealing with this slow tide of dissidents?
I'll sit there, thoughtful for a moment, bringing my hand up to my chin, sort of looking downwards in thought. Then after a moment or two passes, I'll turn and look to my father. I think we need to try and narrow down where this dissent exactly comes from. There must be some kind of agitator, some kind of ringleader pushing these people to these acts.
At this,
They need to be snuffed out.
your father nods. Jolab lends his voice. I agree, Warden Adjunct. We must find its root and stem. We must tear it from the ground and burn it, so it can never grow again. I shall set my men on the west docks, and members of the priesthood who are loyal, to listening, to looking, to prying where they can, to seek these snakes. Your father gives this little mind either, not looking to Talib nor Jolab, but only to you. And then he smiles. I am sure that you have already made preparations. You are already about this business.
It is something that I have begun working on.
He nods. Good.
There is a certain code being spoken in the West Quarter between dissidents and certain establishments. They do not speak their mind openly. I have people set about trying to decipher these words, to learn their meaning so we may better learn what is going on in the heads of these people who oppose us.
Rala speaks. All men do not speak their minds in this city. None. And the fishermen will speak different from the merchants, will speak different from the gatekeepers, will speak different from the farmhands. They all have their mannerisms and ways of speech. How can you know that this code is not simply, well, the alliterations that most common folk make up? The utterances of shorthand in everyday conversations.
It might well be that. We cannot be sure unless we further look into it. And from these establishments, from these places of speaking, have been a number of issues and problems that have arisen in the past. Soldiers have gone there, they have fallen ill, and other things too. It is a lead, one that is wise to follow up on, I think, as we have little others at the moment. If we act aggressively now, and we strike out at the wrong people, those truly in charge of all of this descent will go underground. They will grow smarter, they will be harder to root out. We must be careful of how we approach this.
Ralaz nods. Sound. Beside you, Absail shifts, does not lend their voice. At that, Ralaz stands. One adjunct. News. The transition that you set in motion with the farmland to the east of Gerrit Khan is going well. Far more well than we had originally surmised. The newly appointed overseers have been effective. There has been little word of revolt. Still, I am unsure if this is merely a front or the honeymoon before the hard truth sets in that they are still no more than they were before. We will see. But I would warn against giving too much leeway to slave-born men and women, even if they are not of the Durnt folk. For in that statement there is truth. Among the slaves of Gerrit Khan is not just the Durnt. For the Durnt have bought and purchased slaves from the Andalese. They have bought and purchased slaves from the Goshani, from the Alarish, from the Tavran. From all nations they come on ships or by caravan. Ralaz sits back. Your father ponders. Let them flourish, Ralaz. If they are effective now, let them be. They too worry for the winter. Autumn comes. Their stomachs as much as ours depend on the labor they provide now. That is an end to that conversation. At that, your father turns back to you, eyes searching for something unclear. And a large merchant set port yesterday, with all the proper writs of passage. He has been requesting a visitation of this council. Shall we give it to him? A show of hands. Go ahead.
Hmm. Do we know if this merchant is connected at all to the numerous bureaucratic and clerical errors?
Your father thinks. I can give you his name to check before I provide him entry. He wishes to leave port within the end of the week. In and out quite fast. He has connections within the Alarum. Highborn. Check the ledgers. The name should be Vicente.
I will do so.
It has been exceptionally difficult. Another matter, Ralas, this concerns you more dearly. There is an Antilles merchant who was detained maybe 2 days past. Illicit cargo was found in his hold, and now he is waiting for this council to pass judgment. The ship contained stores of undocumented ornamental items, burial urns, ritual masks, and a stow of weaponry, though most old, ceremonial pieces. They would not hold up on a true battlefield. Still, the smuggling of such things either comes with a hefty fine or the rope. We have to make a decision. Suggestions, he says, looking to the men in the chamber. Odar lifts his voice. The laws are plain. The laws are plain and simple. The man should not be allowed to leave. I would say, don't hang him, but incarcerate him for the time being. Your father nods and turns to you. And you?
I would request his name as well, as there were a number of Andalese merchants in those ledgers as well.
Your father
Seeing
nods.
money.
I shall have it to you. Ralaz clears his throat. What has he put forward in his defense? He claims no ownership. He insists that men among his crew must have been smuggling the artifacts out of Karat Khan to sell at their next port. Of course, the captain picks his crew. The fault is still with him, but for now, I will delay until the Dueña can check the ledgers. If there is nothing else, then this meeting is adjourned.
There is one more matter.
Your father turns to look at you and nods. Well
It
then,
involves the missing currency. There's been another development. A number of money lenders, especially on the West End, they were killed with the rending, and the money that they lent out to numerous business owners and merchants and the like around the city was provided to them, but there is no trace of them spending this money at all. Bartenders purchased loans in order to buy new furnishments for their establishments, but such things never happened. More money that moved hands but has seemingly disappeared.
Ralaz, what is the Imperial policy on such things during the times of rending? Are such debts acquired by the Empire itself? Ralaz shakes his head. Karadir, in his wisdom, forgoes such things. All such debts of those owed to nobles who have been sent to the colonies are removed. Those people given financial freedom once more are seen to be more pliant to integration, seeing the Idavar as the source of their regained financial freedoms. Your father looks a bit stern at that. I would say such a thing is far too pliant. It is
It's also
unfortunate. He turns to look at you.
It's also curious why they would not then spend the money that they have no reason to pay back, now that their lenders are gone.
It is curious. Realize, is it possible to have a change in policy? Could we reverse such an edict? We have the ledgers. You have traced the names, have you not? He says, looking back to you.
I'm working on it. It's still a process.
I would highly suggest against such things. I would advise to allow that leniency to remain. We cannot ask of them those things. It would crush them, your father says, cutting over. But they have shown themselves to not be worthy of our leniency. So why display it now? A change in course seems necessary. It is an Idavarian edict. Warden Adjunct, one you must uphold.
I do think Ralaz is right in this matter, Father. If we crack down on these people too harshly, we may well drive otherwise neutral or loyal people to become dissenters. And we might drive those who are against us, as I said earlier, further underground. All of this missing money is going to lead to something. It's only a matter of time until I unravel it.
At that, your father nodded. Then stand. He looks to the table. Very well. We're dismissed. Dwyer, is there anything you wish to discuss in private?
There is, Father.
Very well. You may stay. And the Rama. The rest, you know your business. Seek to it, for the glory of Karadir. Men stand up, shuffle out of the chamber, till you, Katsi, and Absael are alone before the Warden Adjunct. Aliskir turns. Matters of importance? Or of family?
Doubts. Jalab and Talib always seem very eager to provide solutions and jump whenever there is a problem that needs solving. Yet so curious that we see no results from them, ever. Only more problems arise.
I have noticed.
Can they truly be trusted?
Of course not. They are dirt. One cannot trust a dirt man. There is no honor in that people. There is no common sense. There is no strength of character. They merely
Then
grovel and
perhaps
scrape to whatever new god they find.
the sensitive information within these halls is not befit for their mongrel ears.
I would agree. But still, we shall keep those things within council that must be said within that council, and those things which can be between the two of us outside of it. I would have preferred the information on the ledgers be kept out of the meeting today. I felt that was unnecessary for the council to hear. Still, I did ask and you did provide. Nonetheless, it is done. But do not mention who you have on these tasks, although it is still apparently obvious who you have put to it. Better not to put that out in the open.
Indeed. You speak wise words, Father, as always.
Rama, you have found your... He stops and thinks. parsing over the word, rolling his tongue around his mouth. You have found the joining acceptable. The Rama bows and nods simply. I have, Warden Adjunct. I find that I and your charge have been finding our own integrations. Though it has not been the years required, a closeness is developing. Good. We will need such bonds in the time to come. And you, Rainer, is this pairing to your standards?
It is
Good.
far better than the incompetent I had last round.
Yes. That unfortunate soul, now nameless. Well, he looks to Kotzi then, and you have kept the dog at your side. I was never for one to keep pets at the table, but in this case, it has proven useful. You have gleaned use from his accompaniment.
I'll look at Kotzi, a slight smirk on my lips, and then I'll turn back to my father and nod. Yes, I have.
Kotzi does not speak. He just blindly peers between the two of you, his face deeply pensive, more serious a mask than you've seen. But he has been quieter in the past few days, more sullen, thoughts clouding his mind, obviously. At that, Haliskir nods at your words. Good.
That is all I have for you.
Very well.
You require me still?
I have no appointments or requirements of you this day. Find rest in it if you can, or find productivity. I leave that to you. But either way, it is now 5 days. 5 days to your Zohaba. Prepare yourself.
I'll smile. I'm looking forward to it.
Very well. You are dismissed.
I'll stand then, stretching a bit. I'll turn and look down at my father as I do so. And just know, Father, that whatever games or crises occur in the future, I am always to stand by the house as Czar.
He nods. I would seek nothing less.
I'll nod to him solemnly and then depart.
As you head out, he lifts his voice again. One thing, actually.
I'll stop, turning around and facing my father.
I believe Ralaz sought an audience with you. I could not find a moment to arrange a conversation, but I am sure you will.
I will take some time today to seek him out at his estate.
Yes. Father turns back, pensively studying the tapestry behind him on the council wall, the map of Gerard Khan.
stare up at it as well for a moment.
Everything twists in a spiral around the tower, as though sucked into a whirlpool.
After taking it in for a moment, I will shake myself out of such stupor and then turn for the door.
Turn for the door. You, Rama, and Katsi step out and into the hall. A strange and motley procession. It is a rainy day, windy, a gust billowing its way through the city. Not the most pleasant of days. The Rama turns to look out onto the rain-splattered windowsill, stone looking out and towards the tower. Ill weather. The season shifts.
Yes. I thought the monsoons were heavy enough. I hope they do not grow more tumultuous.
Neither do I. The meeting. What do you surmise? Have you gleaned anything from it? Outside of the normal, mundane politics?
As you so spoke, things are coming to a head sooner rather than later. I may not even be here to see them when I depart here after my Zorhaba. I hope I do not come back to a city that is on the brink of collapse.
Aushlem will have arrived by then to reinforce and to assist Halaskir. That should lend some stability.
That it will. It would be good as well to have an ally here who can further our joint political interests while I am gone.
Has your father sought reinforcements from Rabas?
I'll think on the matter past in the multiple meetings that we've had throughout the week, if it's ever been mentioned.
Rabas Azar, the dueñer of your father's almanate, has never been mentioned once, not in the month or so you've been here.
If he has done so in secret.
The Rama nods. Why not seek the assistance of Rabas yourself? Send a letter.
My father might take such an action as undermining him in a way, going beneath his authority to contact his dueñer.
Perhaps.
Though it is most necessary an act, I think. There must be some reason he hasn't done so yet, one I will bring up to him and ask about in the future.
I would do so. Understanding such a thing could provide useful. You seek
Perhaps.
clarity in a place yet so unclear. Your father's judgment and mind is clouded. Is that not obvious to see?
It is. He has much on his mind. Perhaps such an act just skipped his notice. But he is still a man of intellect and calculation. And I think there must certainly be some reason as to why he has not called for Rabas's aid.
Gotzi cocks his head, listening to the sound of the rain. I think that I will be glad to be gone of this place, as will be all. Do not,
Oh,
but when you find yourself without these walls, do not find yourself pondering on what happens within them.
no. When I depart, what goes on here will be out of my control.
Gati not. That is wisdom. I would not wish to follow one whose mind dwells elsewhere during such an expedition. I'm frank in this regard.
It is a honest thought that I think many would share. And it is why, as soon as we depart, I will devote my sole focus to the Miri, the Seventh, and those under my lead as we head into the northern steppe.
The Rama looks to Gati and then to you.
How often can security be found in the barking of a dog? It alerts us. But in the simplest of ways.
Gati
Amusing.
scowls at that.
I'll sort of offhandedly ignore the two men as we've been walking down the hall, headed for Halan's room.
You begin to walk, steadily pacing yourself. The air is thick and heavy, the moisture hanging there hard on the throat. You have to stifle a cough once or twice. There are other men under the weather not used to this placement. Most of the men you brought with you are used to the dry and arid nature of the Koshani steppe, or come from more desert, regions with more desert or long savanna. This strangely, well, I'm looking for the word. It's the opposite of arid again. Humid.
Right?
Humid.
Human.
This strangely humid environment has not set well with many of the soldiers and the men. Some have fallen sick, and a few have died, coughing from the lungs until at last they find themselves returning to Ausher. Walk along
Instead of
the
going to
halls.
Halan's room, I will head to the prison instead.
You turn. The Rama turns with you, and then, where are we going now?
That merchant, the one from Andal, was apprehended and will likely be down in the prisons. I wish to question them.
The Rama nods. Should we call for Ozol? Or will you do so
I do
alone?
not think he will need to be consulted.
Very well. You begin to move down the hallway. As you're walking, the Rama addresses you. 5 days. And yet, we have not given enough time to the practice of the stone mind.
Indeed.
It will be necessary.
We'll find time.
The Zohaba will test you. Not just physically, mentally, spiritually, but also philosophically. It will reshape your view of things. You must be prepared for that.
If we can get work done this day quickly, perhaps we should sit and find some time to ponder over it this evening.
Yes. But now there's an
For the days to
appointment
come.
with Ralaz, perhaps. If you deem it critical.
I have been commanded to try and smooth things over with him by my father, so this is the best opportunity I have go about doing such. We had a little bit of a disagreement.
A
I'll glare
disagreement.
at Katsi.
A disagreement of which I am very thankful of. Oh? At this, the Rama turns to look at you. And what exactly pitted you against the High Advisor?
His methods of extracting information from our dear friend here was a little too costly for my tastes.
Costly.
Yes.
Then the price of this individual must be quite high indeed. They say, looking to Kotze, why do you place such a value on this foreigner's flesh?
I can always make friends with other Tavrish officials. I think the opportunity to find another man with a mind such as his, that would be a most impossible chance indeed.
So what you're saying is every part of me is expendable except my tongue and my head.
Yes.
So, if the High Advisor had threatened to cut off one of my feet, you would have just watched?
No, I would not. I would have stepped in. Because I think you know well, and I know well, that by committing such acts upon a man's flesh has a tendency to affect their faculties at times.
Or is it that you wished, in some way, to save the regeneration of my future offspring? After all, my prospects are high. Perhaps you will make them in servitude to your own. Nazi grins at that evilly.
Very amusing.
A line of eyeless, handless servants that'll follow around all your ilk till the end of their days. A curse on the house of Azar.
I would prefer a handful of servants with the capabilities you possess otherwise, perhaps retaining their eyes and their hands still.
And who shall you find for a match? Perhaps in similarity, that Koshani that you so aptly detongued. It would be an accurate match, wouldn't it? The Raman narrows their eyebrows. They are Koshani still, and your blood is worth less than dirt. If you were to touch them, I would put a knife in your heart.
He still is technically part of the. He has been elevated.
Oh?
Yeah.
Rama turns to look at you. Elevated how?
We went over this, didn't we, when we were talking about the mess hall at some point, right? There was an appropriate table for him to sit at. He had to sit at this table the second gone or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's probably the assumption is that Halaskir has permitted such things.
And in his service to me, he has been elevated from just being a simple alt nobody, because that would be unbefitting.
You could not even have a Roshi in your service in that way. The Azar
So he has to
are
be
a rare example because they forgo their names to serve you.
He has to be a part of the
At least the second
cast
third
then.
gone, yeah.
Yeah. I'll turn to my Rama. In order for him to be in service to me, he would have to be of the third or second Gon.
But only the Kalishna could will such a thing. One cannot move between the caste. It would destabilize and completely eradicate the natural order of our very existence.
Yet such a thing has already happened. It has been permitted.
The Rama leans an eye, or flicks an eye to look at Katsi and then back to you and nods. Very well, Dwayner. They do not press the issue, nor do they sound defiant in their response. Simply capitulating.
I will continue to walk down into the prison cells to find the one Andalese merchant.
You come to the entrance. There, the prison guards open the doors before you. One of them offers you a torch to light
I'll take
your
it and
way.
hand it to my Rama.
The Rama takes it and holds it before you, up and away as to not drown you with smoke. The sounds of wind and rain now regress. You descend down into the dungeons, to the darkness that dwells there, illuminated in a small path by the torch you carry. You come again to the great round chamber. There, a few of the castellans of the prison sit, the sound of their jangling keys at their hips as they move and shift, moving pieces across an old wooden board. The game of silvers. You recognize it. One of the castellans notices you and stands and bows deeply. The Rama steps forward. You may rise. We seek a merchant, an Andalese man, being held for judgment. Would you take us to his cell? The Castellan looks to you, the Castellan looks to your feet and then nods to the Rama. Yes, most blessed Rama, he says quietly, and then, turning to his friend, I'll return shortly. Do not shift the pieces without me. He grins, and then takes his own torch off the wall. This way, he says, and then begins to head gently down the hallway, leading somewhere eastward.
I'll join him.
You walk up to be near, following his path. The other two walking quietly behind you, Katsu with a shuffle, the Rama with a more sure and elegant step. You turn, coming to an iron-shod cell. Someone reaches down, lifts his key ring to open the cell. The man inside turns. He was balled up against the corner, but now he shifts, looking, sitting up. His eyes are the color of sea foam, his skin dark and muddy, his hair a wild mess about his sweaty face. It's hot down in the dungeons. You'd have expected it to be less warm, but the heat permeates the stone, strangely so. The strange sweating. The strange sweaty man grovels, then, lowering his head in obeisance towards you. You come at last to set me free?
No.
No, of course no. And then his eyes peer up to look at you from beneath the locks of greasy hair.
Though, perhaps if you cooperate with my questions, the judgment set upon you will not be harsh.
He grimaces and nods. Then, what is there to discuss?
Let's start with your name.
My name, Loyan Gamisa.
Hmm.
Loyan Gamisa. An Andalese name if there ever was one.
What are you hauling, and where are you going?
Loyan slowly looks down to the straw about him. I was a spice merchant. The Kerat cities have some of the finest, most exotic of goods.
Hmm.
The people have provided me for nearly 2 oracles of years. The Rama flinches at that, at the Kalianoric numbering system.
Hmm. So you have traveled here before and done trade. When was the
Ah,
last time you had done so?
5 years ago.
Hmm.
I said as much to the one in the black coat with the pale eyes. Why the questions again?
That is of no matter to you. Hmm.
As I
What were you
shift
hauling at that time? What did you buy? What did you sell?
5 years ago. He scratches his chin. A long time at sea. A very long time. Um,
Yes, but merchants keep ledgers.
they do, but they don't
Hmm.
memorize them.
Is yours still upon your ship, or has it been confiscated?
Confiscated, along with everything else. Are my men incarcerated as well?
I do not know. Most likely, yes.
Well, what else? What
Hmm.
do you know of? I can answer what I can, but I've been long at this business. I could not expect me to remember everything.
Hmm. Have anybody of import, standing, or influence otherwise, have they sought to recruit you ever? To transport goods, to move coin between hands?
He shakes his head slowly. I
Hmm.
am an honest merchant. I have only ever traded in wood and spice. On occasion, I have carried people,
Hmm.
slaves, when the hold is not full, but rarely.
Yet you have contraband in your hold that you claim your crew members brought aboard.
A few new men. I hired them to fill positions. A few of my old men has retired or changed their lines of work. I had to fill those positions if the ship was to sail. I unfortunately seem to have chosen poorly.
Hmm. Who are these men? Do you have any dirt upon your ship?
No, darn sailors! Are you? And then he stops himself from jesting and shakes his head. No, no, no dirt. Most of my men are Andalese. I have perhaps two Altans. all of the new men were Tavish. I set
Tavish.
off from Kandor. It was the only port that I could recruit from. They're all tough men. Most of them, I think, served in the Navy. They have that strictness about them. They keep their bunks clean.
So you sailed from the north, heading south, I imagine, back to your homeland, trading along the way.
My homeland is in the south.
Yes, that is what I said.
Yes. He stops and thinks, and then shakes his head. No, I understand. Yes, Kandor. I stopped along some of the Karad cities, and now I was making my way. First, of course, not to Andal, but a few other ports and then home. Yes.
I'm sure you hear plenty of news, stopping in ports, in the taverns and such. Sailors like to drink.
Yes.
How do the other Karad cities fare? Do they fear what comes for them?
Well, I can't speak rightly. The only two I visited were Andu and Anar. Both of them, well, they were getting prepared. Not in a militant sense. No, for their esteemed visitors. That's how many of the Dern put it. Visitors. From the tavern. They seemed nonchalant, unperturbed. I could not understand the cavalierness of those people, though nothing affected them.
They are a strange sort.
Yes, very strange. A few asked for passage to Karat Khan. I asked them why they would want to go to a place that had already found itself under the glory of the Idavar. Why not enjoy the moments they had? They would find
Tell
it
me
in
about these
Rouge.
men.
Mostly bar dwellers, dock dwellers. You know the type. Bargemen, cargo luggers.
Just layabouts.
There are many of those among the dirt. They say this new generation of dirt is, well, they don't work for anything. Nor do they pursue their faith. They are wild. I had a few that wanted, well, near demanded passage. No, I will have dirt on my ship. But you would have dirt goods on your ship. Things of significance. Ritual artifacts and heirlooms. The man turns to look at your Rama and then away quickly. I did not make the choice in these selections. No. They were
I
passed
have my
to our
doubts that
cargo.
a veteran captain such as yourself does not thoroughly check his hold. You said you've been traveling the seas for dozens of years.
He flicks an eye up at you. I was tired. And the tower. You know how it is. Clouds the mind. Posing that thing. Sometimes I think it makes it hard to think. And I think about that. And then, all of a sudden, the day's gone. Hours are missing.
So it was affecting your judgment back in the prior port when you unloaded those things onto your ship. Very strange. Unless those items were unloaded here as soon as you landed.
That is what I surmised. But they must have been unloaded after I had done my routine checks. I am supposed to leave in 2 days' time. A schedule to make before the autumn gales.
You might not leave at all.
But Lord, that would be... Think of the men, their families, my
I will
family.
let you sit and think about all of that for some time. And if you have anything else you wish to tell me on any of these matters, any of your travels, no matter if they incriminate you or not, if I find them useful, I may well help you. So sit and think. I will leave you to that.
The
And I
man's
will walk out
expression,
of the cell.
the man's expression drops. As you walk out of the cell, he looks up. Nothing. Ask me a question. Anything. I have answers, but I don't know what it is you want. Any of you, he says, talking louder as you walk farther away.
As I walk into the threshold of the door, I'll turn back and look at him. I want to know what is going on with all of the merchants that have come through these ports in prior years. The ledgers are all crooked.
Crooked.
Yes.
Kenneth Khan is known legendary among shipwrights. They said a fortune can be made here by anyone. Many ships come through. I don't know anything of crooked ledgers, but I know many a sea captain who has found his way back on voyage from Kenneth Khan and bought a new penthouse of what he made. It's been that way for it's been that way for almost an oracle of years.
Almost an oracle of years. So it wasn't that way before then.
He shakes his head. No.
Think on this matter of missing, or well, profitable ventures here within the city. See what you can remember. And call for the castellan when you have answers. They'll fetch me. Then I'll walk out of the
Looks
room.
grim. He just watches you walk away, his jaw slack. The castellan walks with you after he closes the cell. I will make sure word finds your ear, blessed one, if the man speaks.
And his crew, have they been apprehended?
Most. The Tarvish sailors of which he mentioned have not been found. All
Not
of his
been
crew
found.
are Andalese outside of the two Altans. Unfortunately, we are not permitted to keep those two here. They have been given over to the Tarvish. There is an agreement between the Altean clans and the Tarvish state. They will be extradited back to the homeland.
The next time you see Odib, tell him I want to know, at any cost, from these other sailors where their comrades might have gone.
Azol, but you're close. It's good.
Ah, yeah.
You're totally good. You're good.
Name was messed up last time.
It was
Azul
It's
is
Azul. You're good.
what I say instead of Odib.
Yeah, absolutely. He nods. I shall let the whisper know. You come back into the hallway, and he moves over and sits down with his friend, the other castellan. The two move back to the game of silvers. The Rama looks at it for a second and looks away. That should not be permitted.
There are many things permitted here that should not be. We have to make exceptions in this distant land. We cannot crack down on every issue that arises, especially among our own ranks, or lest we would have no men left at our command. I'll say as I just keep on walking down the hall, not stopping, heading
The
for
Rama nods as he walks with you. You come to the stairwell and begin slowly to ascend, till at last you find your way out and up from the dungeons. and back into the sound of the gale outside. It has grown more voracious. Somewhere in the distance, a sudden crack of thunder. It echoes out and across. A flash of lightning then, striking again the tower. The Rama turns to look at it. Why does it seem to me as though all things are drawn to that place? Even the lightning above seeks it.
Tell me when you find an answer. I'm curious.
I doubt there is one. Not everything has a reason or a form. Some things simply are.
There's definitely a reason for that thing being so wicked.
If only we could enter into it. Maybe then we could search out its meaning from within.
Perhaps you'll join me in climbing it someday.
Perhaps. Although I found my taste of it when I ascended to assist you on the latter day.
It is a gargantuan feat. Ask Kotzi when you have the time. We made it up only half the steps, and we could hardly stomach any more. The flight down was grueling
Destructive.
in both mind and spirit.
Dante nods. I would not wish that on anyone. They say, the dirt, that is, that in time only a few have ascended, but never to the top. Never to the door they say stands there. Perhaps, maybe 3. 3.
One of them being Yorban, I imagine.
Orban was not yet accounted for, though there are rumors. The Dern say that he is Orham returned. An old
Who?
Dern hero. One who entered the tower, not necessarily to fight or do anything heroic, but merely the act of ascending and entering itself, in their eyes, is the greatest of deeds.
I wonder what they would say of me if I climbed it.
I wonder what they already say of you. They cannot know that you did not reach the top. How could they?
Perhaps some speculate. Who knows? The least of my worries is Durnt musings at the moment.
I've already heard
They be
some
ones I need to root out.
speculations. There are a few speculations already. The Rama nods. I have heard a few. Some are louder than others. Arguments in bars. Before I met you, I had heard rumors of your ascension. Some think you might be Orham as well. Of course, they get scoffed at. And, well, no one talks to them for the rest of the night. They're shunned to the edges of the bar. Still, those words have been said.
Achieving such a thing, proving to them that their hero of old was not who they expected, would be quite a scheme, wouldn't it? I'll say, looking thoughtfully and ponderously at the big ground lips.
The Rama nods. They remember you. They remember the conqueror of old. They say that you have returned. But as you came as a conqueror now, you shall relinquish that. Some speculations. All things reverse their course. In that truth, then, are you here to give the dirt back, their city? The Rama
A
shakes her.
foolish notion.
The Rama nods. I would agree. The hopeful speculations of superstition, and unworthy superstition at that.
But
They are
still,
not guided by the ancient ages, by the pages of time and destiny laid down by true and worthy deities, such as ourselves.
superstition and belief is a powerful tool that can be used. Perhaps if we could sway the fickle and wandering minds of these lesser dirt into a more positive mindset about their conquerors through whatever old tales we can abuse, that would benefit our position. A thought
Perhaps,
for another day, I think.
perhaps a discussion to be had with Paran and the 12th. They are the masters of propaganda. Let them spin the tales. I am sure in time they will make a legend of you.
Indeed. I have asked enough of them for now, but perhaps once we return from the Murkari expedition, they will owe me favors yet.
At
And
that,
we will strengthen the bond between ourselves in such an endeavor.
and at the Rama nods, I agree. Where are you headed? Where are you walking?
Halan's room
Very
to collect
well.
the ledgers.
South you go then. Along the hallway. The Rama breaks the silence. Eidlon's condition is concerning.
Yes. I have been thinking of solutions, and none of them I enjoy.
If they are plying her with things to try and keep her cognitive, awake,
That needs to stop.
but if she falls asleep, will she wake again?
Who can say? But surely it would do her better than to be forced awake for days on end, riling.
They see the time coming. They wish for her. They wish for her so incessantly to provide them with an answer, something, anything, to guide them out of this situation. And in that, they perform ill-advised decisions. They say, chewing the word over.
I'll stop in the hall, looking downcast, my eyes hanging low. I'll turn and look at my Rama, placing a hand on his shoulder. I do not care for answers. I care about my sister, my wife.
I understand. But an audience with Parjuk is not possible. You may not speak with the priestess of Lauthi. Perhaps an audience with the Mashak could be sought. But if Parjuk is moving, then it is through the Mashak. The Mashak are moving through Parjuk. Which means that this too is a part of some plan.
Games being played
Yes,
at my sister's expense
I
and
agree.
mine.
These games have been being played since near the beginning.
since the first. They stop and think. The first child of Leut opened its eyes.
Of course they have. It is the nature of systems, power structures. There's always struggle between differing peoples, differing ideals.
That a nod. Gotze then speaks.
I now slowly begin to realize that I was right in my assessments. And that he just simply smiles.
Do you have any thoughts on the situation? Would you like to share those assessments?
I found what I was sent to look for. It was not as I had thought it to be. The task I carried out was not the task I was appointed. When I do not hold any grief over my decisions.
So your attempted killing of my father was not the appropriate action that you were set out to conduct, is what you're saying.
He smiles softly. Perhaps not.
And who was it that you were meant to kill?
No one, he says magnanimously. I was sent
How could you?
did merely to offer an accord.
You had a strange way of going about that.
The more I watch, the more I realize such a thing never could have been an impossibility. I have not been proven wrong. There have been moments, individuals, that have swayed me, but those have been few.
We'll continue to watch, or, well, listen, as you do. And if you ever care to extend this accord to people willing, a thought. I'll say, turning away and heading down the hall, removing my hand from my Rama's shoulder.
The Rama moves with you. Look at him now. Headed still to Lan.
Yes.
Very well. We would accept no such accord. Regardless, would we? Would we?
How could we deny an accord we know nothing about?
We are Koshani. We do not pledge ourselves. Alaskir, in doing so, has debased the hierarchy. But still we follow him loyally, because we follow that hierarchy, regardless of whether he does or doesn't. Our loyalty is the thing that we must hold ourselves accountable to. We are not worried of how he holds his. That is irrelevant. That is the structure. I to you, you to him. Him to whoever he perceives to be worthy. But never shall I bind myself
of how he places that loyalty. It is not our place.
I do not think we are above diplomacy. We are above alliances. We are above playing the game that others play. If we stand alone and choose to set ourselves above everyone else, though that may be the truth of the matter, we will find ourselves squashed out by powers far greater than our own at the moment. We must be cunning in how we choose to go about the future. And in that, I agree with my father.
A nod. I understand. I do. The world shifts. City. There's a smell on the air. Not just of rain or wind. Something has changed. Five days. 5 days and we can get out. Away. There is almost a sound of fear in that voice. A momentary hint of franticness. You yourself have felt it before, under that tower's shadow. You know all too well what it feels like.
I will approach that voice.
Hmm? What do you mean?
Somebody said something. I'm going to go
That's
up
your
to them.
drama speaking.
Oh, my Rama. Okay.
That's why the voice sounds like it rose. Low and breathy.
Sorry.
You're good, no worries.
Yes. 5 days and we can get out of here for a time.
And then return.
You're feeling it now, aren't you? How it weighs on you, this place. I've seen it happen with others too.
A nod. It is happening to you as well. I
I
have
know.
seen you stir in your sleep. I have heard you cry out. The name's always the same. Well, find yourself nearing the corridor of Alan's door. There are more guards stationed here, along its extent. 3, now 4. You find yourself then before the main guard, in his colorful livery, with his well-polished armor, spear held at his side. As the Rama nods to him. Now, time to speak. They say, turning to you, with the Prince of Longing. Godsman, we wish entrance. Do not keep the Blessed One waiting. The man bows quickly and opens the door for the two of you, allowing you then entry into the chamber.
I will step in, beelining for the ledgers wherever they are kept.
You step inside. Delon is sitting not far at his desk, peering down and over one of them. When you enter the room and begin moving towards him, he looks up at you inquisitively. Dwayne, I was not expecting visitation today.
Hmm.
I thought you were at meeting.
Yes, it ended shortly ago. Hmm. And there's been something of a development, a lead. There are two names I need to find here in these ledgers, one in Alarshman, one in Andalese man.
Hmm. The names? I have it
Lojan
indexed and sorted.
Camisa is the Andalese fellow, and the other one is an Alarshman named Vicente.
Vicente. He nods. I've seen their seal in the ledgers a few times.
Hmm.
He turns and begins rifling through the one he currently holds. 3 months ago, 5, and 8, it seems.
Inconsistencies with them?
He scratches his forehead. None. Though, a lot of purchases.
Of what?
He looks down. Seems... Let's see here. He puts his finger down on a line. Noted here, here, and here for... He squints and then lifts an eyebrow. It's all just lumber.
It's all just lumber.
Why is a Larish house purchasing such quantities? Would they not rather purchase it from the South Ilarum? It seems strange. None of it is exotic either.
Just normal wood.
Yes, the ledgers in these sections are clean as well.
Well, isn't that odd in of itself, given the rest of these are all out of order, and this one here is one of the only ones well kept, with such strange purchases?
Oh, wine as well. Here,
Wine.
here, and here. These were 7 months ago. Looks
I come
like
here
it.
quite frequently.
Yes. He begins scrolling through. Here, a year. And then again in 3-month increments. It seems like sometimes it's late, sometimes 4, sometimes 2. But it is consistent. Depends on the season, perhaps.
Interesting.
No lumber in the other purchases. Just wine. Always wine.
And what of Lojan?
Lejean Camisa. He begins scrolling, looking through the indexing. You've seen that he has taken many pieces of small, wound-up cord and placed them, inscribing tags here and there with the language of your people. It's been numerically and alphabetically categorized. He's been industrious in this, it seems.
I look impressed.
Quickly, he flips through it until at last... Ah! Here. The man has arrived almost a dozen times in 5 years. Always at the same
Life stream.
seasons. The same times. Over and over. A few inconsistencies, of course. It seems he missed one 3 years ago. He made no stop. That entire year, he's not on the ledger. But every year before and after, he is.
He told me the last time he had arrived here was 5 years ago. He's definitely lying. You should take these findings to Azal when you can. He is this man, Lojan, currently down in the dungeons for smuggling contraband.
Oh?
He picked up 2 Tavrishmen, new crew members
two
out of
Altans.
Kandor.
2 Altans, and then he already had those in the crew, but a large number of Tavishmen to fulfill positions of previous mariners who had retired from the crew. So
He took a
probably more
large
than 2.
number. He took a large number of Tavrishmen from Kandor of which have gone missing upon landing. And there's also contraband that he proclaims was brought on by his crew. I believe it to be another lie.
Do we
He
have
might
any
be
proof?
involved with all of this.
Any proof he ever had Tovershman aboard to begin with?
We do not know. That would be a good
Nods.
thing to investigate on in question. His crew have been apprehended, all except the Tovershman, which is another worry.
Talon nods. I assume Father is going to sentence them to the rope?
There are a multitude of different musings on what should happen with the matter, but knowing Father, yes, he would wish to do so.
Yes.
If I were you, I would get any questions you haven't for the man out sooner rather than later.
At that, Talon simply nods. I understand. Well, seems like I have more added to my list of duties.
Yes.
At least I get to move away from all of this for a moment. He says, looking
Indeed.
down frustratedly at the ledgers.
He said that he commonly buys. What is it? I'll say looking down at the ledgers at Lojan's
You begin to look through.
accounts.
Spice. 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 On occasion, furs. And on occasion, well, other oddities. Urns, pottery, jewelry. Nothing of great value. The majority of his trade seems to be in dirtish spices.
Mostly deals in spice. Also, there was a rather peculiar rumor that he had heard in many other ports among many other captains spoken.
Oh?
In about the last 10 or so years, Karat Khan has become an incredibly profitable place for business between merchants on the Western Sea.
Your
Only in the
brother
last 10 or
looks
so
back into
years.
The ledgers. I only have the past year, 2 years, it seems. No. Let's see, how far does this go back? 6 years, he says,
6.
flipping the ledger back. After that, I did not request any ledgers farther back.
I believe that all of these discrepancies are likely tied to these rumors, tied to this flow and trade. Whatever began all of this mess here likely started sometime around 10 years ago.
Yes. It seems that this uprising that the Durnt were planning from the beginning has been going back a while now. How did they not think that Keratir would hear wind of it? They understood that as Taver citizens they were one and all subject to rending if they did not follow the policies of the Empire. But yet, they've been plotting against it for almost 10 years? Is that what you were telling me? Financially, at least.
Yes. And perhaps we could consider that even the Rendings were a part of this scheme.
But Keratir alone declares that.
No. But they might have expected such a thing to happen and planned for it in advance.
You would think them so cynical and cold? Knowing what
I
would
do.
happen to so many of their people? Perhaps
I do.
we've underestimated the Durnt then.
I think we have, in a way. Even the sea captain, he told me he stopped in 2 of the other Karat cities on the way here, coming from the north.
Oh,
And in those cities, on those docks, among those people, they knew that we are coming for them. They knew that we are coming to rend them. Yet they are unworried. Yet they seem not to care.
Tonlor will
Like,
quickly persuade them otherwise.
but it is of no surprise to them. It is of no worry to them. And yes, the suffering might change the minds of a few, but they all seem worriedly prepared for our arrival, for what we are set out here to do. Who knows what's going on?
What are the Durnt? he says, scratching his head. What are these people? I have never seen such blatant disregard for their own value. And though they may be low, that still is, well, he shakes his head.
I'll place both my hands on his desk, leaning forward and looking at him seriously. The worst mistake we can make in this situation is to underestimate these people. They are our enemies. And most worldly of all, they do not fight like we do. They do not take up arms and meet us in battle. They are going to resort to means that we are not familiar with, and these are means that we have to suss out and get out ahead of. We must suspect them to be in every shadow, every dark corner, and we must be ready.
He nods. I could follow the ledgers back as far as when your sea captain says these things began. Perhaps there is a route there.
Yes.
But that would take months. I don't have the staff for it.
No. That is the worry. Another worry with all of this is that we simply do not have the resources, the time, or the manpower to deal with all of these issues that we have to face.
If
We
only
must
we
pick and
had.
choose where to wisely put our efforts.
If only we had more skilled scribes among us. But we left them with robots. Father saw so no need for such people on a journey of war. He shakes his head, upset at the notion. And the few we do have been little help thus far.
Perhaps the skilled hands that we need could be fetched, though. A difficult thought. Never mind it.
He nods.
I'm going to take a small bit of time to question this Vicente captain down by the docks before he leaves. You should look into Lojan and his crew a bit further and keep an ear out with the guards to see if any of those Tavrish sailors are found.
He
You
nods.
might be able to learn something from them. They might be greater tied into what's going on here if this really is a conspiracy.
Yes.
It's very strange that they would join onto a ship coming here to Karat Khan and then just simply disappear upon its arrival. That makes no sense unless they are up to some rather devious things, brother. Beyond just smuggling goods.
So then, what now? Irma says,
I have a meeting with Relaz. I will leave you to think on these matters, and please do seek me out. We should discuss them more. See if we can put our
Nods.
minds together to find the best avenue of action to take with this.
I would
We have
agree.
limited time.
Well then, I will see what I can have done. Seems in the meantime, shakes his head. Well, in the meantime,
Remember.
Yes.
5 days.
He nods. Very well. At that,
I'll leave him then.
He turns back to the ledger as you leave him. His mind wandering. Along with his speech, he seemed very unsure in those last moments of talk. His mind wandering, perhaps the weight of the tower there as well. Your Rama walks beside you. Where do you head?
I am going to go out of the keep. I will call my Azal to me.
The man appears at your side. Blessed one, he says quietly. Your orders.
I am in need of bodyguard. We're heading into the city.
He nods. We shall serve, blessed one. Gauntley curses at the rain. The gale is still harsh. The wind whips about you.
I will stop by my room before I depart and grab a heavier cloak to weather the weather better.
Do so. The Rama as well throws on their white cloak, the hem muddied with travel. The two of you slowly don your heavier clothing. The Rama helping with your cloak, fastening it in place. When there comes a knock at the door, and then it opens. Paran steps in, uninvited, besides the knock, unannounced. The Rama gives a small intake of breath, hand on the bone hilt of their dagger. Paran grins. I've been looking for you.
Well, you have found me.
Yes, I have. Delivered your message to Stern. 12
And?
are on board.
Great.
I told him 6 days. That was correct, right? 6 days.
6. Yes.
Good. I am unfortunate to tell you. The Dervish, the Derva, and his scriber will not be attending us. They're staying. Dervish fallen ill. Hasn't taken well to the environment.
Isn't it the job of a man such as that to go out into the far reaches of nowhere and discover its mysteries?
Shay
He's
lifts an
fallen ill in
eyebrow.
such conditions?
It's the food, he says, almost chuckling. He's been shitting himself. His stomach hasn't taken well to the spice. Would have expected more of an enlargement. This scriver's been sitting at his bedside with a pail, day and night.
You might find it amusing, but we have had men die from dysentery here.
The Medacio's looking after him, he says, shaking a hand, grinning. He'll be fine. I've seen men shit themselves to death. This is different. But the stench, oh my God, Arkelin be praised. The Rama scrunches up their face. Vulgar, they say. Unnecessary. Aye, you've hit it right on the head. Other things to report too. If you want to hear.
Of course.
He grins. Galtier's collected a few names. Not a complete list though. Few merchants. Try and have it done before we move on from Carrot Con. Besides that,
Good.
other, more subtle report. Man came to Carrot Con about 5 months ago. Hey. Well, left an impression.
Who? Do we have a name?
No name. Songstress. Hails from some hall of music. Back eastward. Said he had a chat with a few of those red sash wearing men with the grey robes.
Interesting.
Purchased goods. Mostly, he said, for his hall. Instruments, too. Short man, well dressed. All the turned agree. He was almost regal. Dark hair. They described his skin as pallid. Whatever that means.
Like his, I'll say, pointing to Kotzi.
Yeah, no. Right like his, actually, says Baran, grinning. That's not what they remember most. It was his voice. He sung in a few of the halls of Gerritkon. There's rumors going around. Anyone who's heard him sing hasn't been quite the same. But the Dards are known for superstition.
What kind of nonsense is that?
I don't know. The kind Dard may come up with. Still, it's interesting.
It is. Thank you for bringing it to my attention.
Of course.
Today, I am going out into that maelstrom. I have a meeting with Verlaz. There's a merchant on the docks that I wish to question.
Oh? Who? Might know him.
Vicenti?
Pah! He spits on the floor. Disgusting lot. Vile sort. I'd stay away from him if I were you.
Their records are strangely clean in an otherwise messy kept ledger.
Well,
It's very odd.
how Vicenti of them. I don't want to be there for that talk. Vile bunch of snakes.
We also apprehended a Andalese merchant on the docks for contraband.
I heard.
And this is actually a matter that you might be interested in.
No?
We picked up some Tavrish crewmen from Kandor that have seemingly disappeared after his setting here.
Now that you have look around for any Tavishmen then. I've seen a few. They're all just dockhands on other vessels. I heard about the Andalese. They caused quite the stir when they came to get him. Said they put a few Tavishmen out cold for the day. Huh. Man fought.
Yes.
And his crew.
I imagine they did. He's a lying sack of shit.
All Andalese are. Can't trust them. All they care about is money. And their strange fucking customs.
I think he knows more than he's letting on about the whole situation here, but...
No doubt. You took a screw to him yet?
Some basic questions. I haven't done such of that yet, though.
Pity. Could have saved the time. Andalese are known to be, well, loose of tongue, he says, grinning, especially the women. Winks.
I'll leave that to the Whisperer.
The Rama grimaces again and turns to you. Why do you allow this man to be so vile in your presence?
If I demanded he didn't, do you think he would comply?
Fuck no, he says, cutting through what the Rama was about to say.
Exactly. I see no point.
The Rama shakes his head. Aye. Keep that one covered up. Face and all. He grins. It's not seemly to be walking around with your wife in public. Not in Dern culture. As far as I'm aware, definitely not fucking in yours.
Alright, enough. Both of you.
Baran grins. The Rama grimaces. A diaspora, a duality. It moves past. Shay gives a little bow. Well then, blessed one, I will let Stern know that the time is right. If there's any preparations you wish to make, let Colt here now. He is our
Very well.
glorious. What's the word? Bosun.
If you do not have any good scouts among your number already, see if you can't pick some out of the Tavrish camps. Just a handful.
Aye. No, I think I'd prefer to find a dirt or two that know the land. I'll see if there's anyone here with family in the steppe dirt.
That would be good. Hmm. So beware of who you pick.
Of
We
course.
cannot trust the dirt.
He nods and then steps out of the chamber, undismissed, and closes the door rather roughly behind him. The Rama turns. His comments are inappropriate.
Yes.
You said we can't change the man. You're right in that. But still,
We will have to deal with them for the weeks to come. Keep that in mind, too. We're going to be out there camping together.
at that the Rama almost seems exasperated, but simply shakes their head and nods. This is fine. I simply thought that in arriving within Garrett Khan, I would find you in better company. I do not hold you accountable for the hand you've been dealt. It is not your fault. But Halim of old was always surrounded by men of honor and station.
We do not have such a luxury here. We
No,
must make do with what we are given. And the situation that the Halim of old found himself in, I imagine,
was far
vastly
braver.
differs from the one I find in mine.
They nod. The fate of his people lay on his shoulders. But not you. You only have to worry about this small company of Koshani and the Roshi under them.
I would say that isn't true. I would say in the grand scheme of things, I do have to worry about the fate of our people. The actions that we do here will trickle down to the rest of Koshani society. It will leave an impression among our people. What happens now is going to affect us all.
You say that, which I myself would have. But it seems as though I am less adventurous in putting forward the thoughts on my mind. We are in agreeance.
I'm glad. I'll say as I fasten up the rest of my clothes and my cloak and walk towards the door, opening it.
Dotsie looks to the general direction of the two of you.
And I? Is there no cloak for I?
The Rama turns to you. Do you think that your father would notice if we left him out of the storm? The guards at the gate most likely report to him. Still,
Such a needless deception is not needed. My father gave me an edict, and I intend to adhere by it, even when I can otherwise circumvent it.
yes. The thought merely lingers that the edict defers that Katse must remain in good health. But yet, they look to the storm outside. This itself may put you in poor health, let alone him.
True. You could fetch you a cloak, Katsu. Do you care to come along? Or would you rather stay here?
Sorry.
I would much rather find myself. beneath the bed frame. But I surmise that is not an option.
I think it best if you come alone.
Very well.
The Rama searches through your things, finding an older cloak. They hand it to you, not to Kotze. He is your charge.
And I am yours.
Then, do you command me to dress him?
Yes.
A shrug at that. No perceptible motion on their face as they move to do so. Once the act is done, Kotze looks down or moves his stumps out, away from the cloak, to bring them up to his face. He tries to reach back to loop them into the hood and pull it forward. With much effort, he manages. The Brahma watches, eyes appraising the struggle for a moment, till at last, Kotze has succeeded in hooding himself. Then, you are ready. You're going out through which gate, the east or the west?
That is the matter, isn't it?
Say again?
What time of day is it?
Mid-afternoon.
Mid-afternoon.
Yes.
How long would it take to get to the docks or Relaz's estate? Back.
The docks. You are south of the tower. Through this maelstrom, maybe an hour or so. You have to get back. This is a huge city.
Evening.
To get to Rala's estate, probably half the time or a quarter. Simply because the eastern quarter is a lot smaller up until the gate than the dock quarter, which stretches out.
I will go to the dock first.
Go ahead.
West gate.
All right. You are going to head, taking your way out into the main gate leading westward. You step out, past the guards and into the rain. You can sense your resolve about you. The city is dreary. The wind whips and howls. And again that thunder in the distance, breaking through the monotonous rhythm of the pattering rain. The wind slams against you, blowing your cloak wildly about you. Kotze struggles and strives beside you, walking through the streets. You try to keep close to the sides of buildings, under the roof when possible, to buffer you away from the wind. The Rama walks close as well, all the while staring off to the distance ahead.
I will continue to walk through the rain silently, making my way down to the dock side to find this Vicente vessel that is anchored at port.
You find yourself slowly navigating through the streets. The Rama takes point at a moment of time where indecision sets in. The storm worsens. And then, at last, you come to the docks. Men are moving quickly up and down the planks, here and there, onto ships, trying to fasten lower sails, fasten vessels. Everything is being secured against the storm. You look across the vast series of ships, hundreds ported here now. The Rama turns to you, and then for the storm. Which among these you reckon belongs to the Vicentes? They shout over the rain.
I do not know. Should ask, or perhaps look for the ones with Alarish or Tavish sailors.
You begin looking, trying to find someone, a dockhand or a mariner, to beseech for information. Go ahead and roll. You have 2 currently with a reset in 13. You want to roll or keep?
Or reroll.
Very well. Okay. I'm glad we got those out of the way. As you're moving, you catch sight of a Tavishman, instantly identifiable, a mariner, not a part of the Fourth Army. He is trying to lug a heavy-looking barrel, rolling it as best he can under the archway. Under an archway. What's your move?
I'll look to my Rama, as I likely don't speak the language of the person,
The Rama nods.
and I'll motion him forward.
Quickly, the Rama moves near to the mariner, leans down in the storm. Mariner turns, squint-eyed, looks at you, then at Kotze, then back to the man now kneeling and speaking with him. The two converse back and forth, and then the Rama stands and moves back to your side, and then through the wind shouts into your ear. He says that the Vicente vessel is on the most northward part of the docks. We will know it by its sails. The color. The color of the sky, they say.
I'll nod to my Rama, and I will walk over to the mariner and hand him a few coins.
You would not carry money on you.
No money? Okay.
Koshani do not carry money, nor do
And
Ramas.
my Rama? No,
In your
okay.
culture, you
No money.
simply do not. Like Vroshi have a coin system, but the Koshani
Kushan just take what they
do
need.
not partake in that at all. Like, you're forbidden to carry money.
Okay, cool. Well, I won't do that then, and I will just head for the North Dock.
It's okay. I thought we discussed it. We didn't. That's okay.
No.
Okay. You move quickly through the wind and the storm, till at last you come to the North Dock and find the vessel. The sails are lowered onto the main deck. Men are quickly moving up and down, trying to secure rigging and lines. You see the sigil, the House Vicente then, for the first time. The classical Mirish V, intertwined with a serpent. You move towards it. Up
I
the
will-
dock. Go ahead.
I will come up to its boarding plank, but I will not step onto the ship. I will order my Rama to speak to one of the crew and tell them we need to beat the captain.
The Rama moves up the plank and onto the ship, and then is accosted by a mariner. The two speak. You cannot make out words in the storm. The Rama then turns to you and waves a hand.
I'll step up then, helping Kotze so he doesn't fall off the boarding plank.
You assist Kotze up the plank and onto the ship. Once you're there, you hunker down, following the Rama, who follows two of the stout-looking Tavish mariners to a quarters near the head of the deck. The Rama opens a door for you into a well-covered chamber within.
I'll step in, pulling the cloak off my head, and
Do
sort of
so.
wiping my cloak with my hands down, get some of the spraying water off of my shoulders.
You step in, closing the door behind. A stout, tall, fat man sits in a broad chair. There's a covered oil lamp on a desk near to him. He is currently picking at his teeth with a long piece of wood. When you step into the cabin, he looks up at you with cold, slate gray eyes. He looks between you, the Rama, and Katsi, and then stands and bows magnanimously. The Rama turns to you. What would you say to the man?
Ask him if he speaks Koshan, though I doubt he does.
The Rama speaks. The two hold a discourse for a second, and the Rama turns back. They do not speak Koshani. They addressed me in the Miri tongue.
Very well. Introduce who we are to the man and tell him that question him the best you can about the matter of these ledgers, his ongoings here, and if everything is as it seems with his vessel, and if he knows anything about the ongoing matters that you've been privy to.
The Rama nods. The two hold discourse. Katsi whispers to you then.
I have heard of these men.
Even from as far west as you are. Enlighten me.
I have traveled many places in this land. I wish to understand it before I came before the Koshani. They are, well, cutthroats. If it is to be believed, enforcers, moneylenders, loan sharks, and, well, merchants. They represent a cabal.
A ball of what and whom?
A financial empire. They have a power of outreach, and, well, everything I've heard of points towards that their enemies do not live long, nor find themselves in, well, he stops and thinks. They do not merely crush them physically, but financially strangle their opponents. Nasty bunch.
They sound like a group of people that it is best to make friends with and are not foes.
And that Gotzi nods. I would surmise the same.
The Rama turns back. Discussion held. He says that he is, well, blessed to have such an emissary of your people on board his vessel. He encourages you to look over his ledgers, to have them studied by your own. Scrivers was the word, if you will. You will find them immaculate and upkept. Any issue with your own ledgers is a dirtish issue, not a Vicente one.
I imagine that would be the case. He seems the type of man to, well, keep his accounts clean. You can tell him we will have no need of his ledgers. and
Go ahead.
ask him if there is any way a young noble son of the Koshan blood might make himself useful to the Vicente house.
Bernard, this is relayed. Roma turns back. He appreciates the gesture, but says no. He asks in kind if there is any way that the house of Vicente could be of use to the Koshani. He finds your efforts here admirable. Yeah. He has long expected the dirt to be treacherous. It is good to see the Aitavar finally putting them in their place.
If perhaps, given the influence of his house, he could provide us a list of other ship captains who go along these western seas, and other people of import that might be suspicious or otherwise involved in treachery against the Idavar. We are all here to do the bidding of the princes of the Idavar. It would only benefit him and us if we cooperated further going into the future.
The robber translates this, then turns back after the man talks. The man smiles as he speaks, reaches his eyes, crow feet spreading across his skin. He has the look of a homely man, nothing more than, well, a kindly and well-regarding merchant. When the Rama returns to speak to you, they seem a bit unnerved. This man is more than cooperative. He seems almost overly enthusiastic about the idea.
They are opportunists, from what I can understand.
He wishes to present you with a gift, and he asks a question.
What is that question?
Where does one find a stone like the one about your neck? He has offered a large sum for it, if you would be willing to part ways with it. This almost like a hiss.
I'll look down at the stone, holding it, looking at it. I'll think back on its history, how my people came to be in possession of such a thing, what its meaning is.
It comes from Ausher, the stone plucked from the sacred river itself. A blessed piece of the homeland carried over and into these new lands. Only the Koshani of the first god may wear one. They symbolize your power. They symbolize your faith, or at least the faith which is about you. They are no simple or plain thing. If a Roshi was to touch one, that Roshi would be Ult. If a Koshani of the second or third god was even to brush a finger across one, they may find themselves seeking Ausher Ta.
Explain to him the significance of the Ausher stones, and tell him, though I decline his offer, I mean no disrespect in doing so. It is simply that such a thing is worth no amount of gold. It is priceless.
The two converse. The Rama turns. He says that he is sorrowful that he could not sway you, but he understands the importance of such an heirloom.
Tell him that I accept the gift that he has for me, and that if the House Vicenti wishes friends in Carrot Khan, in the south and in the west, they can find such in Halim.
The Rama's eyes open a bit wider at that. They simply nod, turning away. The man turns around to a curio there, nailed to the floor, and held by ropes which keep its rather delicate structure affixed to the wall. He undoes some knots and opens it, then reaching inside, he pulls out a rather strange and beautiful looking blade. Long, curved, like the wing of a bird. He looks it up and down, smiling, and then turns back to you. He speaks to the Rama, turns translating. This is a Sathari blade. It has little use to one who is not trained with it, but it is a symbol of power and strength. The place from which I hail. This one has traveled with me long, but as a gift between peoples, I would offer it to you.
Tell him I accept. I realize its significance, and would be honored to display it.
This is translated back. The man reaches into the Kerrigan and retrieves the blackened scabbard, the scimitar. He sheaves the Sathari blade, and then he gently hands it, scabbard or hilt first, in the direction of the Rama. The Rama takes it, and then fastens it affixed to their belt underneath the cloak to keep it free from the rain. The man speaks. The Rama translates. May I see my ship leave port soon? Or shall I be under your hospitality longer, blessed prince?
With such a gift given, I'm sure that you can be set to leave on schedule.
This is translated, and the man nods and smiles. He bows, making that Taver symbol with his fingers. You have come to relate it with the faith of Calianor. And then he sits back down in his chair. He speaks. Go ahead. You first.
When he bows, I will bow back to him as well.
He nods, appreciating the Tarver's gesture. He speaks, and the Rama translates. I appreciate this brief but blessed meeting.
I will kindly leave the man to the rest of his evening.
All right. You step
If
out.
he has any need of me,
Good.
he can find me.
This is translated. You step out and back into the storm, the gale. Somehow, it has gotten even worse. Within the warm confines of the cabin, well lit, well warmed, you were free from it. Another flash of lightning striking at the tower. It arcs like blue fire through the sky, almost scorching the rain. Katsi jumps at the sound of thunder, booming so loud that it almost shakes the ship.
It is just lightning, close by.
Waves rock You are led back to the gangplank. Katsi seems shaken.
I will do my best to help him down, and as soon as we hit some solid ground again, beat feet east, not wanting to wait around in this maelstrom. I'm going to head straight for Relaz's estate.
Begin to move quickly through the streets. Now knowing your way a little bit more assuredly, you're quicker. You find yourself coming back and near to the keep. Everyone's silent. To open your mouth and speak is to find rainwater in it. Unpleasant at best. Once you have entered into the Eastern Quarter, you find it filled with Tovish cohorts. The buildings here are cleaner. Fires are lit inside, ruddy and yellow against the panes of glass. Doors are boarded up in places where they might be blown open by the storm. And here and there, a few dour scouts and lookouts move up and down the street. Soon it will be time for curfew. Not that lies on your shoulders. Rala's estate once belonged to an alchemist who lived within Gerard Khan. It's a fine and tall building, a manse, surrounded by a heavy gate and and lines of hedges in a well-kept garden. It is the least dirtish thing that you have seen in this city. The man himself was not of the dirt. It's been discussed in meetings a few times. Tarvishman, by all accounts, wealthy and influential. Of course, Ralaz would pick such a place for his own roost. When you come near to the gates, go ahead first.
I wasn't saying anything.
I
Sorry.
have an intake. It's all good. You come before the gates, and there find a few of Ralaz's guards sitting as close, huddled against the alcove as they can be. One pushes his way through the rain, pulling his hood farther over his face to protect himself. He comes close and then shouts in the Miri tongue. At that, Yalrama steps forward, talking, translating between the two. He turns back around. We're permitted to enter. Ralaz is at supper. We have not been invited to sit and eat, but we may hold discourse.
Of course. I'll hurry in.
You hurry in. The gate opened. You step through. And then are you led along a pathway up into a great stone door. This is opened with a wheel. You listen to it cranking, churning. Such an fixture is absurd, unpractical, nothing more than a show. You step past it and into the warm, flickering light of a torch. The stone door closes behind you with a bang. The sounds around you dying away. A few Tavish serving maids walk past. You watch as your Rama averts their eyes quickly, looking up and towards the chandelier above. Everything is quiet, and a dust hangs on the air in this old manse. Then a door opens. Above you, the figure stepping out onto a mezzanine there, looking down. Tall, gaunt, and pale. Dark hair flows across dark robes. Cold eyes appraise you.
I will
Ralaz,
pull the hood of my cloak down and be warming my hands some, wringing them from the cold rain.
you have come. Welcome, son of Halaskir. I am at supper, so let me be candid. I have little to say, but that little is of import. looks down at you.
I'll look up at him. Well, make it quick then.
From his spot up on the terrace, he clears his throat, his face drawn, his lips pursed. You have made yourself quite a place amidst the council. Do you find yourself entertaining such a position before you found it?
No. I think the competency of my actions led me there. I had no intent.
The warden adjunct has become far too pliant to untenured advice. You have given good counsel. For now. But if your inexperience leads him off the path, if it leads him to failure, will you bear that failure on your shoulders?
I did not come here to listen to ambiguous, idle threats, Relaz.
Well then, let me be plain. You are misguided, Koshani. Your decision to ally yourself with the 12th is ill-advised. A band of criminals, mercenaries, and the dregs of the 4th Army. There are better choices for your task. Why not select some other group? Why them? Why the Mauxmen?
I feel that's an entirely pointless question. In fact, it leads me to a better one. Why do you care?
Because the task you're taking on yourself is one of high importance. I would see you take it with competency. The 12th is incompetent. Why? Why ally yourself with them? Why stand under their roof? You understand how it looks for you? How it reflects on your position.
I do. Do you have a point here, or have I just come to your door on such a delightful day to be accosted? Do you have suggestions? Do you have solutions? Or are you just simply prattling on?
Don't take the 12th. Take the 3rd instead. They are far more able. You understand the purpose. Halan is to lead. His success is paramount to Halaskir's position. The way the two of you are viewed. Aligning yourself with this particular group. If you succeed, it will not garner Halan or yourself any level of favor. The point of this expedition is that and that alone. Standing the way the Tarvers view you. And choosing
And
someone
taking
they view poorly.
and taking the third, what did you do me better? How?
They are well liked among the 4th Army. Their successes will be lauded and praised, as will yours. It will be more advantageous to your position. I am merely trying to advise. I did not wish to do so in front of the council.
I see.
Your actions must seem to be your own. Halasker, at the least, must believe so. He lends himself. He lends his ear to you.
Hmm. I'll stand there at the bottom of those stair steps, staring up at him thoughtfully for a moment.
The
Your
Rama.
advice is received.
Other advice, then, since you are in the mode of receiving. The company you keep is inappropriate, he says, looking to the Rama. An abomination, twisted against nature to fit the Mashaw's delusions. This is not said with any level of tact, but instead cuts like a curse. The Rama narrows their eyes, but does
Hmm.
not show any other momentary flicker of emotion. You and Halasker have invited a woman to attend the councils of war. This is absurd. The Tarvish, they have already begun to speak of it. Do you not care for the way they view you?
Hmm. I'll turn, looking at my Rama and then looking back up to Relaz.
The Rama then speaks. I cared not. Not for your... They shrug. Strange outbursts.
Hmm.
Nor for your unnecessarily abrupt assertions of my character.
And Relaz, I imagine all of this talk that's going on about this talk. You like to talk so much. I imagine a great deal of it is coming out of your own mouth. So if you would do us all a great pleasure and perhaps keep who is invited to which council meeting more well kept. I imagine the warden adjunct would be very, very appreciative of that.
They lift an eyebrow. It seems now we both wander in our speech.
Mm.
I now must take the stance you did previously. If you wish to say something, say it plain.
All of this talk, all of this back and forth, it is nonsense.
Nonsense. Nonsense that you have brought an Elu into our councils. Nonsense that Halasker has allowed this to continue. Can you not seek to lend his ear against such things? Says Relaz, staring at Katse. That man. You should reforge his collar with a Yunmir. His abilities are not kept in his hands, but in his voice. But you would not listen to such things. His tongue should be cut from his head before it turns against you, Halaskir, and the rest of the Itavar.
You are quite the fervorous loyalist to our beloved Idavar, are you not?
It is the only thing which I serve.
Of course. Yes. I think any further words spoken have no point, so I will take my leave now. Let us
Very,
stay out of each other's ways, as such interactions, I think, benefits us not. We have better uses of our time. Know that I
very
am not trying to undermine you or your schemes or whatever games you play on behalf of whoever. I just seek the upstanding and the survival of my house and my people. As you are loyal to your Idavar, I am loyal to my father and the Koshan. Good day, sir.
very
We'll
well.
turn and leave.
Ralaz almost looks as though he would do something. His hand twitches, his lips moving. There's a scent on the air for a moment, familiar, hot, almost alluring, and
Hmm.
then it slowly diminishes.
I'll stop by the door on the way out, turning. Oh, and whatever happens to that pet that you brought to the council meetings, where has she gone?
The Rama nods at that, adding to your speech. High Advisor, you claim that the Dweiner has brought a woman amidst the council, an abomination against the nature of such things. But you yourself have brought one too. Are you not then in hypocrisy? The Rama smiles. Ralaz narrows his eyes, a dark look coming onto his face. Such an appointment was made by the Idavar himself. Who am I to debase or to be against the appointments of such one as he? Who are you to question such either?
I'll turn, looking into my Rama, shooting him a bit of a grin in a way that Ralaz can't see as I turn for the door. Then I will take my leave.
You step out. The entire time, Katse has seemed tense, immensely so. The second that scent hit the air, the stumps of Katse's arms lifted slightly. You caught it out of the corner of your eye. Something deep beneath the surface twitching. You step back out and into the rain. Katse lets out a deep breath, almost relieved. The Rama turns, looking at him, then at you. That was unproductive.
Very.
The man seems to have a penchant for his own voice.
He likes to speak nonsense.
He is the High Advisor
Idle
of the Idavar. He no doubt has had his chance to speak far more than he should have ever been allowed, and into much more powerful men's ears.
He is a dangerous but petty advisor. Yes, very petty. We should watch out for him in the future. It
yes,
seems that there will be no smoothing things over with him from this point forth. Lest I decide to give him Katsu's head, that might do so, but I do not intend to do so.
he is far more dangerous than his words, Dwayner. He is an Alu as well.
That smell, yes,
You
it's
remember what I
familiar.
did? He wields the same. Why does your Idavar hold such men in his council? At that,
Yet
Katsi grins.
he stands up there and accosts you for being the same as him. Very odd, I find.
He is wrong, though. He holds up his stumps. I have no power. That was taken from me. He merely wishes to turn us against one another.
Even if you still had your power, I would let you keep it. You don't care.
Even if I used it against you and your family? Or do you not think I would? Perhaps I am waiting for the perfect time. He grins. Perhaps you
Perhaps you are.
recall a gathering of all the named Goshani.
And if you made a move at such a time,
I would die.
you would be struck down.
He nods.
You would be dealt with.
At that, he just smiles wryly. The Rama almost seems for a moment to want to laugh, but then contains it. This Ralas. Are you going to try to outmaneuver him? He seems to not take well to humiliation.
No. I think we just need to avoid him and do our best to just stay out of his way.
The Rama
Though I
nods.
think he well intends on getting in ours. So when that time comes, we will have to think about how to deal with the man.
No doubt.
Perhaps our mutual friend who is going to arrive soon might be able to make some effort there when he becomes entrenched in the politics of this place upon his arrival.
Perhaps. He seems rather caught up on his own notions of... They stop and think as you walk for a second. The idea of what nature is. Nature, for us, is determined by the will of the Kalishna. I have always been who I am, until the Kalishna wills otherwise. That is not for him to say. But the fact that he takes such indignance to it speaks of a lesser character. The Rama shakes her head. Meaningless.
We will keep an eye on the man in the weeks to come.
We won't be able to.
Yes. We won't be able to, but after we return.
You'll be free to move without us for a while. I worry. You have given good counsel to Halaskir Azar in your time
He
sitting in
will
the
try
council.
to get in his ear, I think, and drive a wedge between us. Though he professes that Halaskir's success is the Idavar's success, I'm not so sure of that.
He seems to hold a certain hatred as well for the 12th. It was
Indeed.
very pointed, personal, irrational.
I'm sure we can learn much more about the man once we bring them along with us.
No
I'm
doubt.
sure they like to talk as much as he does and have many great things to say about him.
So far, they have found themselves to be far more useful and compliant than the High Advisor. I would trust them farther than he, even
I
in
would.
matters of the Idavar.
I'm going to ask about this third battalion and if the 12th thinks we could bring them along with. Perhaps we bring both the 12th and the 3rd along. We placate Relaz by allowing Halan to command the 3rd and win his victories and do all of this. And then we conduct the serious business and achieve those victories with the more capable hands of the 12th.
It's a possibility, though I think Halaskir will be directly against it. He seems
Too
very...
many resources.
Yes. I think the reason he was so compliant to your option when you put forward the 12th was because they are one of the smallest squads and currently idle. You made use of a resource that was before unusable.
Yes, and I care more honestly about my father's favor than I do about Relaz's any day of the week.
I would agree. You
So we
come
will
back.
stick with the 12th.
God, you come back before then the gate. There, you're let in by the guards. It's the late evening now. The Rama walks beside you.
Well, it seems we have seen to the matters of the day
It
and
does.
achieved very little.
And Azal comes to your side then. Blessed one, the Majud seeks you.
The Majid.
Ishak, yes.
Yes.
He seems pensive. They Azal have been standing guard over him, as is partially our purpose. He has sought out from his chamber just now to find you.
I will go to his chamber and meet him there.
Very well,
Have
blessed one.
the rest of you found that missing man? And also, is there any other word on that shadowy figure at my window?
No, we have tried. We have searched. We cannot find the body of our brother. We must if we are to return him to Ausher. To finally make his way to Kaush. The man seems almost sorrowful.
Continue to look for what you can. We have a matter of a few days, but until we leave this place for a time, if you cannot find him by then, we will drop the matter.
Yes, blessed one. At that, the Azal disappears. The Majud seeks you. Strange. You should be resting.
I do not think he has ever sought me out directly before.
No,
I'm always attentive to training. I always arrive when I'm expected. He has had no need ever.
I am as confused as you are in this matter. But conversation surely will alleviate that confusion.
Yes, let us go quickly. I'll say, walking. I'll take the heavy cloak off once I enter the halls of the keep, and I'll hand it
Godspeed
over to...
staggers behind you as you go. The Rama takes your cloak, holding it gently at their side. The two of you begin to walk down the hall. It's not long before you see the Majud huffing and puffing, using his club to help his path as he moves towards you. When he sees you, he lifts an eyebrow and then stops in place stoically, leaning on the club. Rainer,
Chuck?
he nods. I have made a decision, he says sharply and simply. I have a
Well?
task for you.
A task?
Yes. Will you attend? That is your station.
Of course. What
Tomorrow.
do you need?
Tomorrow night. Saddle your steed. Bring provisions. Food. Water. Traveling clothes. A weapon. Choose one
May I
wisely.
ask why?
He smiles. No. Why is crooked? You will know when you know.
How very Ejok of you. Very well. I will do as you command.
He nods. The Abseil too. Not the blind one. Don't bring him.
Very well.
He nods. Not fighting on me on this. He grins. Good.
No. You have my attention and my curiosity.
This
I will
is
see you
good.
tomorrow night.
He nods. Let us hope this gale blows over. It would be bad for travel.
We just came out of it. It is not a delight.
Minor. In the meantime, tonight, focus on the stone. It is all that remains. He nods curtly.
I plan to already. I will heed your advice.
He turns around and then roughly begins to move through the hall, breathing heavily. Step, step, clack with the club as he goes. The Rama watches him. What
I'll watch him as well.
was that? Go ahead.
When he's far enough down the hall that he leaves our sight, I'll turn to Abseo. What is that, indeed? Most curious.
You need to be here for the time of Zohaba. Ishak knows that. So whatever it is, it won't take longer than a few days.
Yes. I wonder what it's all about.
Perhaps
Very curious.
he wishes to prepare you. That is the only thing of which I can think.
He did say he made a decision. It's his job to sit and prepare me. I think this is something different, something else.
I think your words hold truth.
We shall see come tomorrow, anyhow. In the days to come.
We shall. For now, I'm tired. Shall we retire, my duenna?
I will. Yes, we will retire. I will spend the rest of my waking moments pondering this stone. I'll say holding it in my hands.
Says Kotzi under his breath. The mention
What
of
was that?
retiring. He looks too. I'm glad that we will seek a fucking bed out of the storm. This fucking cloak is drenched, he says, loosely trying to undo the clasp with his stumps, and then hissing, "Get this fucking thing off me, it's heavy!"
Help him, please.
The
Say,
Rama
walking down the hall.
moves and removes the drenched and heavy cloak from Kotzi's shoulders. He audibly sighs as the weight no longer leans on him. Oh, this day. So many words spoken, so little said. It numbs the mind.
Yes.
Say what you like
This-
for Paran, but at least he is clear.
I'd take a conversation with him any day over one with Ralaz.
That man is a snake. Should behead him as quickly
Yes.
as possible.
That was my exact thought. He is a danger. He is a threat.
And your resolve
And
not. He says very pointedly. Do you not have trained assassins at your side at all moments?
they could make such an attempt.
He nods slowly.
Perhaps I could leave some of them behind once we depart and have them plan it. A handful could see to the endeavor.
It would have to be quite an undertaking, he whispers quietly.
Yes.
Failure would be catastrophic.
Indeed. And in that way, I would have them sit and plan that for weeks, for months.
And
Have them
yet
take their
he-
time with it.
At that. Ayumya, what is that? He mentioned it when he was speaking about calling me.
Do I know?
No, no idea.
I have no idea. Abseo?
The Rama turns. I am nameless. Please do not speak
Yes.
my name. They say, looking incredibly uncomfortable, their hand twitching as it grips their waist.
Apologies.
They nod.
Do you know anything of this Arun Mia?
No, but I can ask.
Find
Nothing.
out.
I cannot
leave your side, but I can speak for you in investigating it.
Hmm. Yes.
Best ask
You
him.
also have my permission to use my Azal for such things. If you have things you need done for you discreetly in such a way, you can command them as if you were myself.
They nod slowly. Such a thing does not break the chain. Very well. You come back before your chambers. The Rama opens it for you. The three of you step inside. The Rama undoes their own cloak now, letting the beautiful white thing fall to the ground, and then hangs the other two cloaks across the window to allow them to try and dry. Godsley moves over to the side of the bed and slumps over on his blankets that have been laid about there.
I will do the same, though, on my bed. I will go and, after removing my wet clothes, just kind of lay back in the bed with the Alstra stone still around my neck, staring at the ceiling. Shut my eyes and contemplate it.
You do so, lying down. The Rama moves near to you, undoing much of their garb, till nearly the bare necessities remain. You look up at the stone, holding it above you, staring at it, thinking, trying to delve into its depths. You may roll. You are currently at 2 rerolls and 1 in 16.
Want to reroll?
Very well.
There we go.
Much better. You stare up at it. The sound of the rain dissipates, the wind. You focus in on it, delving into it. You close your eyes, seeing yourself inside of it. You are a conchoidal fracture. You are a crystalline structure. You are a stone of glassy, black, deathless darkness, endless and inexorable. Slowly you drift, trying to follow through with the commands Abseil has given you before. You may roll again. Remember, you do have your bonus on addition when we're doing the math.
Yeah, it's plus 20, I think.
Yes.
I'll
Very
keep
well. You delve deeper. You feel nothing, for a stone cannot feel. It cannot see, it cannot hear, and thus you cannot as well. All noise vanishes. All sight is gone. You are nothing. You are a stone. The world dissipates, and you drift. Drift off into the river. The stone, carried by its current. Other stones around you then. Clack, cling, pushed, moved by that current. You may roll again.
I'll reroll.
Very well. Very well. You do not re-roll the last one,
Okay, gotcha.
because it is a 42. And then, something changes. A moment. There's something there beyond it all. Beyond the nothingness. Beyond the stone. The feeling. You catch onto it, gripping it. It's always been there. That thing inside you. Dwelling within some place so deep within you that no light could ever reach it. You gasp, eyes opening for a second. Everything is brighter, color more vivid. Your finger twitches. You feel a coldness running through you.
For a moment, that moment when you woke, you were freezing. So all heat had left your body. Your Rama staring at you. Eyes narrowed. Expression unchanging, just staring at you. Twainer. The feeling again. The words roll from your lips, but not your words, not your voice. Someone else's voice from a distance. Your body movements are not your own. Someone else's again. Everything is disjointed, separated. And then, suddenly, it comes together. Breaking. Joining. You blink. Your body is warm. Your voice is yours. The things you see are the things that you see. Twainer, they say again, leaning in, putting a hand on your shoulder. The touch is almost tender. They look at you, with eyes the color of the sun.
I'll swallow, looking them in the eyes. I got it.
God. What?
Felt it. Something else. Like I was not myself for a moment.
A slow nod. Like nothing that you had ever done had been done by your hand, and nothing you
Yes.
had ever said had been spoken by your voice.
Yes.
A nod then. Good. And we are close to the close. Hold that feeling. Once you've felt it once, you can never unfeel it. You're this
I'll
close.
close my eyes.
Go ahead.
I'll close my eyes yet again. Instead of focusing on the stone, I will focus on that feeling. Let myself sort of slip back into it if I can.
You try to slip back into it. It's easy. Like slipping into a new pair of clothes. Not quite comfortable yet. A little too tight. The cloth too itchy, too scratchy. But still, it fits. You disassociate for a second, splitting yourself, your mind in two places. One held within the stone, the other within your body. That separation of space and thought. Two minds. Two minds, but one who thinks. It's so disorienting and strange. And then exhaustion hits you in a wave, hard and fast, like a punch in the stomach. You lose focus, no longer able to hold that separation. The Rama quickly puts their hand behind your back and leans you back and onto the pillow. Not too long. The body cannot bear it.
What is this?
It
I'll
is.
say, looking down at the stone.
This is you. They smile softly. Now it's time, I think, for rest. We are nearing the close, Twainer. 5 days.
5 days. Yes.
Gotze
And much to do in that time.
Gotze already snores beside the bed. The Rama looks at looks at him and then looks away. Much to do. Well, the quicker to bed, the quicker to rise, as the Tarver saying goes.
I have a feeling these next few days are going to pass by quickly.
They
I hope
nod.
they do. I look forward to my Zorhaba and what comes after.
A nod. They close their eyes, placing their hand upon their breast, and the gentle folds there that rise. Mouth slightly
Either
opens as they as well begin to snore beside you, leaving you alone awake.
I'll lie there form for a moment, truly taking it in, and then sort of let my head fall on the pillow.
You think to yourself, what Rala said is not far from the truth, but neither is what the Rama said either. The two can both be true, or so the Kalishna has willed. And then you feel yourself drifting down into dream, drifting away. The currents of rest taking you. Not dream, you're dreamless. Then something changes. They are in the room. Someone has entered your chambers. Your eyes open. Barely have you found rest, your body disoriented, your mind aching. A throb there, a headache. The
I'll
Rama's
quickly sit
moving
up.
already. Knife coming out from under the pillow. Page.
I'll also
Go ahead.
reach for a knife as well.
You reach for the other knife, grasping it. Pajuk is standing in the room looking between the two of you. She lifts one hand, adorned with the ornaments of a priestess of Lauthi. The outer stone about her neck gleaming under the flickering candlelight.
Priestess,
They
what brings
nod.
you at this hour? So clandestine.
The time has come. The final vision. You have been summoned, son
Now.
of Halaskir.
I'll set the knife back down next to Abseo and hurry out of my bed. Not even dressing all that much, just throwing on a nightgown.
The Rama picks it up and sheaves it quickly, throwing on their own white cloak, but not much else. I will attend.
Whoa.
Pajuk doesn't rail against that, but instead just simply nods. Very well.
Come. Let us be quick.
Quickly, you follow after the priestess. When you look to the window for a second, you see it is nearly, it is most likely past midnight. Perhaps closer to the dawn. You've slept for maybe a few hours before the priestess barged in. How long was she standing there? How long till you became aware of her presence? Who knows? You glide across the hall, you and the Rama, the two of you following the Lauthi. She moves towards the chambers, which lay in the northwest, along a dimly lit hallway. Nothing breaks the silence besides the sound of pounding feet. All three of you are in a hurry. And then, at last, you come before the door. There are 3 maiden guards standing outside, all of them peering into the opening of the door that has been offered before you. Pajuk
I'll
turns
step
to
in.
you. She's ahead of you. Turns to you. He lifts a hand. The Mashak wait within as well. Be careful. she says quietly.
Swallow then and nod to her, concern in my eyes. And if she allows me, I'll step past her into the room.
You step past, but not the Rama. They stand near Parjuk as you step into the room. From within, you can hear a strange humming coo, almost childlike, soft, relaxing. There are 3 Mashak within. You see them immediately, gathered near to the bed. Tall, imperious, infinite. One with a veil laced with pure silver, beautifully wrought. They do not turn to look at you, but they speak. Oh, blessed prince. Oh, blessed prince. Oh, blessed prince. And then one turns. Oh, blessed prince of scars. Lord of fair, which was. She awaits you at last. The star-laden seer whose visions pierce the veil. The other 2 almost glide towards you. Oh, blessed prince. Oh, blessed prince. They whisper, letting out cooing noises as they speak. Your blood
Stare at them.
runs cold, your body shivering. Go ahead.
Stare at them wide-eyed, my hair is on end. As they glide around me, whispering, I will slowly make my way towards the bed.
You see an arm there, outstretched, unmoving, hand upturned, palm facing. Blessed prince, oh blessed prince. One among them, the one with the engravings, speaks. Grasp the cold flesh, grasp the cold flesh. See as she sees, walk as she walks. Oh, blessed prince, the others say, whispering, cooing, in that strange way.
Before they even finish their words, I'll already be at the bedside, dropped to my knees, my hands clasped around the cold flesh of my sister.
You grab the hand. It twitches like a spider, clasping around yours in a death grip so tight it almost breaks your wrist. And then the
Eidolon.
world goes black as you speak, except the hand and the arm clasped in yours. You stand alone in an abyssal darkness which stretches out across a limitless void of space. And then a voice reaches out to you across the desolate emptiness. It's calming, its vibrations echoing across you like a cool wind in summer. Alim Ozan Azar, most beloved pariah, long have I awaited this day. My purpose finally fulfilled. Destiny's gift. She appears beside you then, appearing from nothing, materializing as color on the air.
I'll approach them,
They look at you.
outstretching a hand slowly towards their face.
Aidlan Ilbara Nazar, Cirrus of Ausher, looks at you. Where there may have been eyes once, instead are twin voids. Endless stars fall away into the deathless space. Her hair flows to her feet in waves of midnight silk, and her skin radiant with pale light, as though jewel had been plucked from the heavens, never truly as bright as it was in the sky, but still too far resplendent for any mortal to gaze upon. She smiles. Look. She lifts her pale arm, fingers stretching to point, color manifesting, endless waves of visions and sights beguiling your mind, your senses, your very essence. Slowly, they begin to widen, expand into that infinite space as you look at her. Look.
I'll stop my hand before touching her, and I'll turn to follow her finger.
Visions blur and meld. 1,000 images flashing behind your eyes. Incredible visions of ancient vistas, towering mountains and tranquil meadows. The words of dead men ring in your ears, speaking in tongues long forgotten. Eidlon then raises both her hands, clasping them before her. Oh, blessed Mother of Stars, I am coming home. Await me there at that time that never was, in that place which can never be. I beseech thee, O blessed Mother, reveal the path. She wails into the maelstrom of color. A myriad of shifts, shape, and form all collides, melding into undistinguishable cacophonies of pure madness. The mass of visions undulates behind your eyes, and at last you clearly see what lays before you in a moment of perfect, serene clarity. Look! Her voice echoes across that vast distance, filled with melancholy and longing. A black-haired youth stares up at you, his face so like your own, strong nose and chin with eyes the color of sunlight. A young girl runs up beside him in the hall, her left eye as blue as a cloudless day, the other dark and depthless. The two cling to your robes, staring up at you. Smiling, the two appraise you.
Who are they?
A voice cuts through that moment. Halim, are you well? Abseil stands across from you, arm outstretched, standing in a beautiful stone archway which leads out of this chamber. Aushlan awaits, and Eidlon is worried. They reach across time and space within the vision, fading into ash before they reach you, vision shifting then. Look! A decrepit form of desecrated flesh sits on an ancient throne. Through its heart runs a stake as black as night. Chains drape around it, cradling leathery flesh. Ochre robes fall across its form. A crown of midnight gems adorn its sunken brow. As you stare at it, the once regal figure lets out a hiss of breath, its dark eyes closing as its head tilts forward and the crown falls to clatter at its feet. Look! Again, as Eidlon stands beside you. The path of the dead. Corpses. Thousands lay festering under a sanguine light of the sun. Everything cast in shades of red. Ichor drips from broken flesh, marrow seeps from shattered bones. You see faces you recognize. Goshani, Dern, Tavish, all alike. Through the carnage you hear the distant wailing hum. The whirring echoes across the deaf fields. Watch as women lay with corpses, their wombs filling with morbid life. Men scream and tear out their eyes in wild frenzy. Beside you, Eidlon gently lowers her hand to clasp yours. Things which will come. Things which may be. The feel of her hand in your palm changes. It turns to bone, the hilt of a weapon carried. You look down at it, notched. Your armor's rent open, your flesh laid bare against the crimson light. The few who stand about you gasp for breath, the rugged sound of their breathing cutting through the violent screams. Your Rama's beside you, their white cloak bloodied with viscera, their amber eyes shining with violent madness. Their once beautiful raiment soaked in blood like some goddess of carnage. Look! Louder this time, Eidlon's voice almost cracking. You stand before a
Continue
dark
to look.
gate. Around you the sky is a nightmarish red, lightning flashes striking the tower on which you stand. Beside you, Kotze crutches your leg. his blind face turned up to look at you, tears of blood streaming out of the holes of his eyes.
Aleem!
He yells over the storm. Aleem! And then the sound of a door drowns out his voice, cracking, opening. Look! She almost wails, reaching a feverish pitch. Femme, beautiful, blessed. Into its valley flows rivers which touch the sky. You stand above it, looking down in the same place as you stood before. But now others stand with you. Koshani, Vroshi. The Koshani woman beside you, with eyes the color of sapphires, turns to look at you. Her belly protrudes, her womb heavy with child. Eidlon stands to your opposite side, her eyes masked by a shroud of pale silk. The Kashani about you look at you with reverence. Men, women, children, there are no old among them. Only a handful of warriors remain. Absail's there, beautiful and terrible, vested in dark robes. Eidlon smiles. Things which may be, she repeats.
Stare on at all of it, a warm smile on my lips.
Then the tranquility is broken. Below you the valley begins to wither, fire spreading across the landscape. The great river begins to boil, steam like black mist cloaks the horizon, screams emanating from the throats of those who stand about you. Flesh dissolves, bone bared, nerve endings writhe and twitch. Eidlon turns, her hands upraised. Look. Your hands are outstretched, placed against a cold stone, thrusting, pushing with all your might against a door that will not open. Fingers twitch in spasm, pain exploding across your back. The world is a maelstrom of fire carried on an endless storm of madness. Katsi lays at your feet with a knife buried to the hilt in his lower abdomen. He coughs blood. Under an eerie sky, he speaks.
Aleem!
Absail's dead eyes peer up at you from a pool of starry water. Her mouth moves, forming silent words. Aleem. Halaskir falls backwards, hands outstretched, mouth open, lips moving. Aleem. And then Halan. He rests against a black stony pillar, a spear broken beside him. Armor rent, a violent blow. He looks up at you, smiling.
Aleem!
He speaks as his eyes grow cold. Eidlon stands beside you again, holding your hand. The vision shifting again, darkness cloaking you in comfortable solitude. The air is still. Silence dwells in this place, so heavy and absolute as to still the beating heart. Eidlon's arm is grasped in yours. No, Eidlon is beside you, looking down as you grasp her arm. Her body illuminated by grim blue candlelight. Her form is as still as death, unmoving, no rise or fall from her chest. Beside you, she looks down at herself, star-eyed. Aleem, she speaks calmly with no sense of urgency or ire.
Eidolon?
It seems the visions have passed, she says, looking down at herself. I sleep now. I sleep, a sleep so deep I fear I will never wake. But I will. I have seen it, as you have.
Yes. If you
When the time
go away now, you can't be there for all of that.
Precisely. Which means there is a future with us and with many others,
Yes.
but it is one that we must make now. I feel tired, Alim.
Hmm.
I feel distant.
I'll approach her, walking up and wrapping my hand around her back, giving her a hug.
She looks up at
I'll
you.
see you when I see you.
Yes, I have no doubt.
I'll yearn for that day.
It will be in the right place and the right time. She smiles, and then the vision fades. And that will be all for now.